right now. Yeah, live.
Good night, good night, good night once again to our viewers and listeners of the hot sorry, I was gonna say the hot seat, but we no longer sorry about that. Viewers of Belizean Affairs. Tonight will be the 16th episode of Belizean Affairs, our new platform. And I want to welcome my co-hosts tonight as they have me on the hot seat tonight. Welcome, Leonard, and we are waiting for our next host, Gregory. He will be in shortly. So, I want to welcome Leonard to the
Thank you very much.
16th edition of Belizean Affairs. Go ahead,
Thank you very
Leonard.
much. Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to join you again tonight as you present the 16th edition. We're getting there quick, you know.
So we get it.
16,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
big
Yes,
number
sir.
since we just started the other
Yes,
day, you know.
sir.
But
Yes, man.
I'm just
Yes, yes,
grateful to
yes.
sit with you virtually and participate in the process as one of your um, co-hosts. And hopefully we'll present something tonight that will resonate and bear some results and in the interest and well-being of the people back home. And I'd just like to ask them to be patient with us as we grow this program. Tune in as often as they can, and when they can't tune in, just listen to it on their own timing. You know, we are now on Facebook. We're also on YouTube, and there will be others coming on later on. But for tonight, my name is Leonard Brackett, and I'm one of the co-hosts, along with our chairman, Um, Mr. Roody Wade, for tonight. Thank you very much, and please stay tuned in. Back to you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. You know, all is fine and well, with Belizean's affairs. We are sending and we are putting the message out there for the public consumption. And we are all about people, our Belizean people and nation, nothing else. Give them the tool they need and let them hear what they should be hearing. And, it's not possible, nothing is possible without, the Almighty, because tomorrow is promised to no one. And on that note, I want to continue on Proverbs. Read my reading for tonight. Proverbs chapter 4 from 1 to 12. Here we go. It says, "Hear, O sons, a father's instruction, and be attentive that you may gain insight. For I give you good precepts. Do not forsake my teaching. When I was a son with my father, tender, the only one in the sight of my mother, he taught me and said to me, Let your heart hold fast to my words. Keep my commandments and live. Get wisdom, get insight. Do not forget and do not turn away from the word of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will keep you. Love her, and she will guard you. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, and whatever you get insight.
Amen.
Prize her highly, and she will exalt you. She will honor you if you embrace her. She will place you, she will place on your head a graceful garland. she will bestow on you a beautiful crown. Hear my son and accept my words, that the years of your life may be many. I have taught you the way of wisdom. I have led you in the path of righteousness. When you walk, your step will not be hampered. And if you run, you will not stumble.
Amen.
That's my reading for tonight. And here we have our next host, Gregory Brackett. Welcome, my brother. We were waiting for you. Good night.
Good night to you, Mr. Chairman. Good night to you, my cousin.
Good night, Ray.
Give me great honor and pleasure to be able to sit with you guys virtually on the 16th edition of Belizean Affair. So tonight, as I say, it gives me great pleasure to sit with you guys and have this open discussion, which is being used for educational purpose as well as to inform Belizeans at home and abroad about Belizean affairs that is happening within our country. And again, good night to the people at home and abroad. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Gregory. It's like I say, on my behalf, it's always a pleasure to sit with you guys because of the knowledge that you all have about our country and what is really going on in our country. The day-to-day living, the day-to-day struggle of the people of this country. And we always says, our mission is about people and our country. And on that note, there's a lot that we have to talk about. And of course, we have so little time. So tonight, we want to dig more into poverty.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I didn't get
Go
to
ahead.
I didn't get to
Oh, sorry.
ID,
Sorry.
and
Sorry,
I didn't do the prayer. I didn't do the prayer yet.
yes, sorry,
All right.
sorry about that. I was jumping. Sorry about that. Thanks for reminding me. Go ahead, Leonard.
All right.
Sorry, my brother.
Sorry. Good night. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'm one of the co-hosts for tonight, along with my cousin Gregory Brackett, and our chairman for the night, who's going to be in charge of running the program and determining what issues and items we articulate tonight on the show. I also want to say I'm grateful for the privilege to be here again tonight to participate as a panelist, and hoping that whatever it is that we may put out there to the general public, we hope that it may accrue residue to the well-being of our people, Belizeans at home and abroad, as well as in the interest and development and well-being of our country, Belize, our patrimony. Mr. Wade did the Bible reading for tonight already, and I would just like to ask if you can be patient with us so I can offer a short little prayer. I won't be long. Divine loving Father, as we come before thy presence once more, we pray that thou mayest continue to listen to our supplications and our prayers. We pray that thou mayest grant us help, courage, strength, perseverance, wisdom, knowledge, and give us the sense of fortitude and strength of character to be a vanguard for our country and its people, and especially for the lesser among us, Please help us that we may be strong advocate so that others who can or don't advocate for themselves, that we may be able to fulfill part of that requirement. We pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people and its leadership. Please bless this country of the United States, its people and its leadership. And please bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who have need of food, clothes, and shelter, and who are in harm's way, being killed or maimed and hurt for no justifiable reason. Please continue to be with us now and always. For us, His mercy, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Back to you,
Like
Mr. Chairman.
I thank you, Leonard. I want to, my apology, right? That I jumped the gun. I was
No
so
problem, Mr.
looking
Chairman.
forward to
We're fired
writing
up
the
right now.
year.
We've been talking before the program, and I know both of us are fired
Yes,
up
man. Yes,
about
yes,
some of the
man.
things that we
Yes,
were
yes,
talking about,
yes.
and therefore,
Yes, man.
Likewise, because you mentioned me as the chairman. The chairman is Mr. Wade.
Yes, man. But
Tonight,
I jumped the gun.
chairman is Mr. Wade.
But it's a good thing. It's a good thing. That's to show the public that we want to put it out there to them. Like we don't always no time, right? So like I was saying, guys, I was wanted you guys to let us check on for us to check on the poverty situation in our country, right? And how we think that the government could do more without costing a lot, to do more to help the poor people, man. Because man, poverty is at an all-time high in this country. And also, the unemployment, I mean, nobody to talk about, how people could get employed. None of the government ministers or, the house, when they have all this begging for money, they talk about, how they will use the money to create jobs. They know they say that, so we will talk about that, then we have a system of justice, when we cater for the poor people. The justice in this country is for only a few get justice in this country. Because if the poor can't afford one attorney, they have no justice, right? So we want to talk about, lately too, we have a lot of families grieving for closure, right? Closure, they want closure for their loved ones that's been murdered, that have been missing, for many years. So we want to talk about that, and a growing issue that's going on up here that really affect the people up here in the West, right? The mayor is saying that there is no more grave space, no more space to bury your loved one because it's all full. And there is no more. The only one that is left is the one that is prepaid. We want to talk about that, how we come to this, right? And what he's asking, right? He's asking for monetary donation, right? To cover a $50 down payment for a 10 acres of land. We're going to talk about that, right? So, there's a lot of things that so we'll see which one we could all wrap up with, and put the education out there to the public, let them know what is really happening. Some of them already know, but of course, they can't voice. And as for the minimum wage, we want to talk about that if we have a chance. The minimum wage has been increased to $5, but yet there are employers that just refuse to pay that measly $5 per hour, right? And nobody is looking out for the poor working class people, the little common laborers. Nobody will look out for them. They only walk past that and pass it in the house, and it's like, it's a done deal. They don't even come back to that to make sure that the people are honoring the laws that they had passed. The people are not honoring the law, right? So we want to talk about that, the crime and violence in this country every day. And I want to say this here, I'll share this with you. In my opinion, that the gangs are killing out each other and cinema. That's what the system wants. the gang, they commit crime and they go spend their little time and they come back just for the next, come back out in society just for the next gang to kill them, murder them, right? So they're murdering each other. So we want to just elaborate on that. Does the system likes that? Is that what the system wants? Is it less hassle for them? Is it less hassle for the justice system? Less burdensome? So we want to talk about that. But let's touch on this poverty, guys. How people lives can be better. The less fortunate, the one who need one grocery bag or one help. Gregory, my brother, I'll give you the
Mr.
floor.
Chairman, I thank you for your opening comment, and I will be the first to tell you and the public at home and abroad, we cannot have the country of Belize moving forward when we have a government that discriminates against the black people. And I will say it loudly and I will specify it loudly. Yesterday marks the 108th birthday of Mr. Philip Golson, whose this government wants to place his head on the money. But yet, a national hero like Mr. Golson, there's no mention of him, there's no publicizing about him and the great deeds he have done in comparison to Mr. Price. And it was just another day swept under the rug. I find it very annoying that when it comes to black people in Belize, we are seeing this gross negligence and discrimination by the present government. We have it with the stevedores, we have it with crime, where the Prime Minister said openly to the public that they can't do nothing if these young men want to kill themselves, when they have a government with a legislative body that can legislate the right laws to curb crime, but instead is trying to legislate law to cater to foreign entity, come may at whatever cost to the Belizean public, even to use executive power. It is very annoying that our government is overlooking its role as a government in the three things that they are supposed to do. The first one, as I mentioned before, it's territory. The second one, the fundamental rights of the people. And the third one, to get with private sector, create jobs, and bring about peace and harmony in the community.
So,
and I think that goes in line with your opening, Mr. Chairman, and I will turn it over to my cousin for his input and what I just mentioned.
Go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to be specific as well as personal. But before I get there, I just wanted to extend a sense of gratitude, or express a sense of gratitude to some of our present government officials, some of whom hold portfolios that we have been speaking to and about. And the reason why I'm making mention of this is because when I fall down or they mess up, I'm one of the first person to jump in on their face and tell them about themselves. Not from a political perspective or because of being a political person, but because I know that they're capable of better. Now that they have at least made an effort to do a little better than they were doing before, I want to be the first to jump up and say, thank you, and I applaud you for at least showing that there's a little bit of compassion and a little bit of commitment being put behind the words of Todos Ganamos. I'm glad to see a little part of that become a reality, and I would hope that I can see more of that become the reality, because that's the platform on which this present government run. I'm going to be specific in terms of what is it I'm trying to intimate, because what I'm saying so far would appear to be a global statement. Let me narrow it down. I'm referring to the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Abelardo Maya, who found it necessary to support Minister Balderramos in trying to find a way within cabinet and the government itself to bring some pressure from the merchants them in the country where they rape, pillage, and take advantage of our population. When we complained before, Mr. Mai went and so-called had meetings with the president of the Chinese business people and came back and told us with the face of brass that the people tell him that they are not discriminating and they are not overcharging or gouging the people, when that is what we were complaining about. So we got on the airwaves and we started complaining to the issue of him listening and paying attention to what them people wine and dine here and tell him, and come back to advocate to us that we either lie on the people or when they make mistake, because the people they tell him that they know they gouge us. I'm glad to see that the gentleman did come around to his senses after we pointed out that he's the government, he's part of the government of the people and should be looking after the people's well-being. To see him now step to the plate and acknowledge that as the new paradigm and the new reality within his cabinet and his government, such that when the Chamber of Commerce now came out with an indefensible position to try and get in at the government face because the government decided to reduce under government decree some of the cost of living items them and force them to take less profit and stop greedy up themselves. The Chamber and come out and try to belittle the government and stipulate to the government that first the government should have try go on and talk with them and negotiate with them about these issues. That is what a government is for, to look after the well-being of its people, not to go and negotiate behind the scene, stupid deals to make it easier for the people where they gouge, and if you turn around and say what they lie to them or lie about them. Use the power of governance to govern. So like I said, kudos Mr. Mai and the present government for at least stepping to the plate. Let's hope we see more of that. Because when the matter was first brought up, and our senior counsel, Ms. Lisa Schumann, decided to open her mouth and speak to the issue, she was saying that the people can't get the government to do nothing about the merchants overcharging and gouging them, because that's between the people and the merchants. So therefore, if the people want to go buy from the merchants there at the high price, and they don't have nowhere else to go buy, they just have to pay the high price. I'm glad that as far as Mr. Mai's last presentation is concerned, that perspective is apparently laid to rest. The people are not supposed to be exposed to the greed of the merchants with the with the assistance and cooperation of the government in the merchants' pocket. It is the government to look after the well-being of the people and to make sure that they're not being used, misused, and abused. So again, like I said, thanks for finally stepping to the plate. We are only some of those people who have been advocating this perspective. There are others who have been advocating this perspective. And I'm glad to see that cabinet and the ministers in cabinet are finally coming to their senses and doing something about it, because they hold the power of governance. All we could do that just chew with gum, talk and talk and talk, and be irrelevant. If they, the people who hold our governance power, decide to just flip us a finger and tell us where to go and jump, while the issue of empowerment continues in our country, and people, they have to go pay $1 change for a little ramen, 50 cents for an orange. I mean, what has Belize become? And that is those people who can afford to come up with the money to go and buy those things. There are people who are in the country who have not a job, have no income, have no way of even coming up with that 50 cents for an orange. So how the hell are they surviving, or how do they live? And I tell people that we have members of our society going to bed at night that if they're sleeping at all, if they might just trust themselves to sleep, because they had nothing to eat during the course of the day. They know everybody have one gig. They provide them a the income so that they could, even at the high cost of living, survive adequately, or at least put food on the table. But at the end of the day, I'm glad, like I said, and I'm saying kudos to these gentlemen for at least hearing the clamor of the people. And thank you, gentlemen, on the panel for hanging there and advocating on behalf of the public, and especially Mr. Wade, advocating on behalf of the poverty people in our country. Kudos to you, gentlemen, as well. I'll go back to the topic, Greg, if you want me to do so, because I kind of overextended my intended initial sense of gratitude to these people, because I'm just glad when they listen. Because at the end of the day, it accrues to the benefit of the country, and that's all we're asking for. You posed a question, Greg, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if he can.
Yes, Greg, that's
question,
yeah.
So I can maybe address the particular question. But kind of,
yeah, Greg was.
Now, no?
Yeah, you gonna, but Greg had wanted you to respond on something he had. He was talking about.
Greg?
My thing is the disrespect and the discrimination that is brought upon the black people.
I picked that up, and I would like to address it.
I was talking about someone in the Honorable Philip Golson, who is a national hero that the present government has intention to place his head on our currency, but yet they cannot honor this man for the work he did, as they did for the Honorable Judge Cadel Price. I look at this as a ploy to try to lead the people into turning their cheeks and looking the other way. Discrimination is alive and living well.
Can I address the...
and I will continue that after you address it.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Go ahead.
As regards to the issue of Mr. Golson, Mr. Goldson is like a bone in them people in craw that they have not been able to swallow while he was alive and even after his death. There was so much hostility towards that man because he stopped them in their track from getting this country over into the Guatemalans' hand. And during his lifetime, that was his cause and his burden. And was it not because of Mr. Goldson that gave them a fight to every step? They would have achieved the end objective that they are now still trying to achieve after he's dead and gone. But I have news for them. Mr. Goldson is dead and gone, but the greater cause is still alive and kicking. The only problem that they have is that their perception of Mr. Goldson having died and gone give them the idea that they can now push forward their agenda without any hesitation or any obstacles, not realizing that they have to deal with Mr. Goldson 2.0. Which is a different incarnation of the man and his objectives. But I want to deal or respond in terms of the discrimination issue because he was black, and they had always used to say, well, Spanish people don't follow no black people, I believe. So therefore, for all intents and purposes, Mr. Goldson can't be their leader. I beg to differ on that because after Mr. Goldson, we did end up with Mr. Barrow as the Prime Minister of the country, didn't we? So much for that type of perspective that they used to push before. That the Spanish people, they did support Mr. Barrow and his administration. As a matter of fact, they supported him 3 times in a row. Even while the Latino people were becoming the majority of the country, there was still enough of them in the majority that supported the UDP as a party and Mr. Barrow as a black man to lead the country as Prime Minister. So all those old vestiges of craziness that they used to stipulate before have been laid away to rest. What has not been laid to rest is the equity or the equal treatment between the people in the country. As my cousin mentioned earlier, the discrimination against the black people in the country. Why? Because they were the ones that the British turned the country over. They were the ones that used to be the civil servants. They were the ones that used to live in Belize mostly and used to run the country. Now, when I go to Belize and I see all the works going on, all the development, all the new buildings, the new structures, all the street works, the concrete works for the street, the big concrete construction buildings and everything else going on. As somebody who deals in that industry, as an architect and a general contractor, as well as a multidisciplinary engineer, I take it upon myself every time I come to the country to move around the country and to check on the development. I go to those job sites and I can see for my own self that there's no black people employed at those job sites. So how the hell those people are supposed to survive and live? Most of the people are people that used to come across the border, can work, and they don't have to come across the border, can work anymore because now they live proper in the country. They are now being regularized and turned into permanent resident as well as citizens. But they don't hire black people among themselves to help do the work because most of the black people, they don't know if they talk Spanish. And when they work among themselves, they're hard workers, mind you. I mean, I'm not taking anything from these people. They work hard. But they feel more comfortable talking among themselves in Spanish and supporting each other as compadres. And that creates an economic division in the country, whereby they have the jobs, they help each other get more jobs when jobs get openings occur, but they don't accommodate and help the black-skinned people in the country. How are they going to end up to learn the skills necessary to get to the point where they can become top class carpenters, top class masonry, top class plumbers, top class electricians, and so on and so forth, and participate in those projects effectively? They're getting boxed out. So they don't have economic means of surviving. They're not participating in the development of the country effectively. They're not getting their fair share. They're being marginalized. And when anybody like myself, or even the people them get up and speak to these points, they say, "Oh, you did try to discriminate against the Latinos them, or you did talk bad about them." That's not the point. The point is that as much as we accommodate these people to come and live among us and be among us, they should not become the priority in terms of who gets a job and don't get a job, or who get discriminated against. I hope my point is clearly understood. I'm not talking about or talking down to these people and or about these people in terms of their ambitiousness, their wanting to succeed, their ability to go out there and work hard and do the work. I'm talking about equity. I'm talking about fairness. I'm talking about the opportunity that is being denied of the Creole people in the country to earn a living. I don't mind these people come out and do what they have to do and succeed at what they do. More power to them. I'm saying that we black-skinned people in the country should not be marginalized. And I'm going to be specific now. For example, I mentioned earlier just now about all the lot of buildings that I see the bill, and I also know black people that participate in none of the construction work them, if any at all. The government just gone and asked in the House for us to get $190 million Belize loan to make them build a new hospital. I want to say to the government, do your job. You come to us, you ask for the money, you get the money, you get the project done. We won't have to pay it back with interest or whatever. We want to be part of the economic development of the country. We, the black people in the country, don't want to be shut out or pushed aside. We want to participate in some of these projects. Make sure as a government that these contractors do not just hire only the Latino people in our country. And then they end up to get the sweets, the economic part of the pie, and succeed and continue at the head of the society. We want to make sure that the government makes it mandatory for these contractors who get these contracts for these multi-million dollars project to build the hospital and any other future projects in our country, to make sure that the black people can get to participate and get a certain quota out of that amount of workers, to make sure that they can participate and develop their skills and be able to earn a living as well. Not only just at hospital, but just about any and every project that goes on in the country. The black people cannot be shut out anymore, or should not be shut out anymore, and should be allowed their fair opportunity, even at the expense of government putting rules and regulations and law into place to mandate that. Because to make such a law would not be anti-constitutional, because it is just leveling the playing field so that everybody else can participate, rather than the way it is right now, where people have the market corner and then shut out other people and don't give an opportunity to other people. It is the government's responsibility to level that playing field. I'll turn it back over, Mr. Chairman, and I have much more to say about that particular issue.
Thank you, Leonard. You know, you said truth there, my brother, and it's real. Gregory, you wanted to say something on that that you were
Yes,
talking
Mr.
about?
Chairman. When I speak about gross discrimination, as I said before, I can point it out through specific. I am proud and I'm glad for the Caneros. As you can see, that ASRBSI had made some huge profit, so they were able to carry out their payments to the cane farmers. And this is why I'm speaking about discrimination. Because when you look at the port of Belize, where majority of our goods are passing through and they are making money, I mean millions of dollars, why couldn't we be thankful and be grateful if our stevedores was being treated in the same regard?
Mhm.
But that is not happening. And likewise, it goes on within our system of governance. Because when I look at Madame Arana, who could have become the Chief Justice of this country, and they bypass
Yes,
her for foreign people. And again, we find
Same,
that they are
same.
still hiring foreigners who are being paid above the salary of our consuls.
Mhm.
It's amazing. The highest consul in our country is being paid a little over $53,000 in comparison to these foreigners, foreign attorneys, who are being paid $70,000. Come
With
on,
perks, with additional perks.
this is gross discrimination. It shows me that the government of Belize has no kind of interest in the black population of this country. And there's other things that are happening. Likewise, when it comes to black people who are employed, I think that we as Belizeans, we need to really hold our government accountable, because discrimination is alive and living well. Look at our people in the diaspora who are being discriminated against unconstitutionally, not being able to take part in a referendum or in a general election in our country because they cannot vote. These are some of the things that needs to stop. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would like to pass it back to you to have your
Gregory,
input on that.
Gregory and Leonard, and are we the only one that are seeing this kind of gross, gross, I call it, that's a crime. I call it a crime, right? You said, you said something very truthful there, Gregory, is that, black Belizeans are being marginalized. There's no other way to put it, because let me compound on that a little bit. Let's take, for instance, you go to the lands department, go in there, right, and see who you have to be begging for a form to fill out or for some information. Go to the immigration department. Right. Go, in fact, walk into any government institution and see who you will have to be begging to please let you speak to somebody. So I take that very serious, right? I look at the past UDP government, which is supposed to be with the majority are black representatives, right? Majority in the UDP. And they are no better. They are no better how they treat our black people. No, I find that very, very disrespectful. Because these are the same black people that give them the power. Right? Now I could see a little leadway in the People's United Party, because if you put all 31 of them, just look at them and look at who is behind them. Look who are their CEOs. Look who are their clerks. Look who are their drivers. Huh? That should tell you a lot. And I'll say no because I'm talking truth. Right? It's right there in front of our eyes. And you want to tell me that they do not discriminate? Gotta be kidding me. Right? So, I hope that, the public at large get it and they see what we are talking about, because it's truth, right? And we're calling for them to do better, man, right? We're calling for them to do right by all, right? So I would say this, that, may he rest in peace, Mr. Golson was an icon, right? I don't see no difference between Mr. Golson and Mr. George Kidd Price, right? I had mentioned a while back about what he have done in this country. He had done some good things, but he had done some terrible things to people. So much as for them to have left this country, right? Like I says, he had his good part and he had his bad part. And his name is mentioned regularly. They name places after him. They give him all the high praises. But you could count the times that past and present administration mentioned the name of the Right Honorable Philip Golson. Now, you heard me say that's a man I call honorable. And I hold no apology for what I say, that I would never call these guys honorable, because in my view, the past and present ministers of UDP and PUP, they are not honorable to me. Most of them are a bunch of crooks. That's what I got to say on that, right? So I call that man honorable, and he deserves every praise. He deserves every time that they mention his name, or put his name on a placard, or put his name on the dollar. He deserves it. That was an honorable man, in my view.
Mhm.
So, guys, that's what I got to say on that. And you want to say something else? Want to, say something else on that? On while back to poverty, because poverty is alive and well in this country, and it's getting out of proportion. Every street corner you go, there is somebody begging for $1, whether it's to buy a cigarette or some drugs or a pack of bread. Every corner you find that in this country. And for Mr. Briceño, the Prime Minister of this country, to come to the nation and the world and say that he has poverty under 5%, man, I don't know where that man is living, right? Poverty is every corner of this country, north, south, east, and west. And it's getting out of hand. So, Leonard, you said that you applaud. Well, this is what I got to say on what you said, right? You applaud my guy, the Minister of Minister Mai, the Minister of Agriculture, and the lady per se. Now, in my view, these people are just, they are just for a show. I'm talking my view, right? Because they know damn well their intention, right? They know damn well when they talk about they are going to visit the Chinese stores, because that's what the people want to hear, right? Because that is their job. So they will put it out there, but in reality, it's not happening. The lady want to up the food basket. That's what the people want to hear. But is it going to be going across the board? Hell no. It's going to be the same system. The street captains, they carry that grocery bag and they have their street captain book as to who is a PUP. I'm talking now. The UDP did it exactly what I'm talking about, right? So, in my view, they're just all for a damn show, because that's what the people want to hear. But yes, see, there's a difference. This is how I see it, because I see it every day, and I see it on the ground, and I listen to it, and I listen to the venom. I call it venom that comes out of their mouth, especially that Minister of Agriculture. You look at all the courses and the opportunities that are given by other countries for them to send people to train. You watch that training crowd. You watch that crowd that he picks. Tell me a black person that in that crowd. See no more. Go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. What I want to contribute tonight is not something new as well, right? It should be almost obvious to every man, woman, and picnic that believes that what I'm about to say right now is very meritorious, because it is based on factual reality, not a made-up concept or an idea or wishful thinking.
And by the way, let me finish say this. Quick, look on. I am not racist, but let me finish by saying I am not racist. I'm just talking real happenings. I'm not racist. I love everybody. I was a visitor. I was a refugee. I won't say refugee, but I was a visitor in other country, right? And I was accepted. I'm not racist. So based on what I said just now, right? Go ahead. No, sorry about that. But I just wanted to.
No problem, Mr. Wade. What happened now, as I said, what I'm about to say is a little different than what I've said before, because what I was saying before is based also on my personal experience. I saw where the black people in our country are being marginalized not given the same opportunities that have been given to the Latin people. Born Belizeans are being disenfranchised and cut out of the possibilities of being able to develop a career and an economic means of survival, while while the other people are being facilitated and enabled to succeed at doing those very same things. I wouldn't have a problem if both the other people as well as the Creole and Black people them and Garifuna people and the Mayan people them and all the whole. I wouldn't mind if the whole policy and the whole effort was across the board, and everybody have an opportunity to struggle and make headway. But Black people are supposed to sit down, listen to what's happening, see what's happening, shut up their mouth, and have nothing to articulate in terms of how they feel about what's going on. That is what I call the wrong. I'm about to say this as well, though. Some of our own Black people are some of the people who enable that to happen in the country. Not necessarily to themselves, but to others. And they could care less. Why? As far as they're concerned, it's not happening to them. They're not affected. At least that's how they think. They don't see the bigger picture. That from generation to generation in the future, we'll become not only as we are now a minority, but we'll become a relegated minority. If we think things are bad right now, it wasn't this bad 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but for sure, it's going to get a hell of a lot worse in the very near future. Not in the long future, very near future. Unless the government steps in and does something about it to help balancing the scale. Because as of today date that we are having this conversation, the process is too far gone for the average person to get up and try work at it now and make a difference. They sat down for too long, they took it and pretend like it was no big deal. And the way it's going and at the pace that it's going, it's only going to get worse. What happens is that, like I said, I'm now talking about the other side of the coin. I talked initially when we first start the program about one side of the coin. I don't care who gets vexed with me for having to stipulate the other side of the coin. Because when you go to the shop, go buy with that coin, the shop people want to turn it over and look at it, the face value, to see if they really want shilling, want 50 cents, $1 coin, want 1 cent coin, or 5 cent coin, or 10 cent coin. You put that shilling or put that money down with the heads up. And the shopkeeper, in most instances, will turn it to where the numbers are stipulated. So, as I'm saying now, some of our own Creole people and Black people in the country are facilitating and enabling some of this criminal conduct against us to be carried on and facilitated.
True on that.
And I would like to say that it hurts me. I'm sad about it. I watch it happen. I speak about it. And now that I'm speaking in public about it, on the airwaves about it, I hope that the government stop the push their agenda to marginalize the Black people in our country. Because I want to tell you, it don't end well. These are the type of things that causes revolutions in countries. Our country has not experienced a revolution before, and pray to God that we never ever experience one for the rest of our history. It is not something good. It doesn't ever will end well. Revolutions usually when you start, they go from one to the next, and it takes years before it settles down. And human beings are human beings. There's only so much punishment we could take. Only so much disdain and hostility and hatefulness that we can take against our person and our personal effects. And when the government gets into the issue, into the habit of marginalizing its people and playing its people against each other, they're opening up Pandora's box. I'm saying here tonight, the government needs to step to the plate, help with this process, help to find a way to get some of them black kids off of the street, so the gang not turn around and use the youth and abuse them. Because inside the gang, the only people that are really important are the gang leaders and the big boys them, the big generals them. They could care less about what's going on with the other young people them, who they turn around and send out to do jobs for them when they go collect the money. They live high on the hog, the so-called gang leaders them, and a few people around them that they spend all the extra money too. But at the end of the day, we cannot have the whole society be beholden to any gang group, and much less to be beholden to a rogue government. We need to have government that are doing what is it that the government is supposed to do. As my cousin said earlier and before, in many other occasions, pay attention to the well-being of the people, pay attention to the national security of the country and its territorial integrity, pay attention to the law and how they structure the system so that people are not being taken advantage of. I know that the present government is capable of better when it comes to that, and I'm just imploring to them, please pay attention and do better.
Yes.
Turn it back over, Mr. Will.
Yes. Well said there, Leonard. Gregory, let's touch a little bit on unemployment. How you think, that the government could do better, in terms of providing employment, to the needy. Right? Let's touch a little bit on unemployment.
Mr. Chairman, the economy of Belize is a shamble when you are importing nearly 2 billion in commodities and products, and you are shipping out chicken feed in couple millions. Mr. Chairman, when we speak about price gouging and about the Minister of Agriculture specifying that he had meetings with the Chinese and they are saying that they are not gouging, Mr. Chairman, count the difference in Chinese store to the regular local Belizeans. So where is the gouging coming from? Who are the Belizean people buying from? In order for our government to fulfill its duty and role, government must get together with private sector to create jobs. But not only that, government must use its resources. If you are not using the resources that you have, how can you stabilize the economy that depends on that? Worldwide, anywhere you go, any stable country is using its economic is using its resources to stabilize their economy. And let's take a look at India. Right now, cost of living is high, there's a war going on. Look what the Indian government did. They refused to ship rice out because they want to make sure their population have enough food to eat. This is telling you that India has a government that cares. And Mr. Brackett, there is a pop-up there from one of her friends. I
I
don't
would,
know if
I
you
would,
can see it.
I would like Leonard to read that and let us talk. Okay, that's something I wanted to talk about too, Leonard. Right? Can you please read that 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 viewer that's had said just now? No, I'm not hearing you, Leonard.
Yeah, I just fixed it. My mic was off just now.
Okay. Yes, please, Leonard, read that for us.
I'd taken it out because I was munching on something. I didn't want it to interrupt Mr. Brackett when he was speaking. No.
Yes, yes, man. Please.
I don't see the name of the person here on the.
No, we just
Just saw
we
a
just
Facebook
read
user.
what.
It says, "You guys touching a very sensitive but true topic tonight. In Belize, the Hispanics have a better chance of attaining and retaining employment, especially in the establishments owned by Caucasians, foreigners. Belize don't have enough employment opportunities for the born Belizeans, especially African descendants. So why do we keep allowing these people from across our neighboring borders to come and settle in Belize? It's interesting how many young single mothers have turned to prostitution in this. The rest of it is cut off. It has a tree dot there, and then there's nothing else to follow.
Must be in this country.
Let me answer that for this. Let me answer that for you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll take that comment down for right now so that we can get the visuals.
Yes, yes. Go ahead, Gregory. Please answer that because I want to say something too. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, because of what is happening when it comes to foreigners lies within our government who is catering to a foreign power. Now, I will specify it for that person. When you see our government will go as far as banning countries within the Caribbean who fall within CARICOM, banning their citizens from traveling to Belize freely in order to protect the United States from them entering through the back, policing these countries and their citizens, and we are a part of CARICOM. And not only that, he is creating laws, Mr. Chairman, the non-profit organization bill, the civil assets and unexplained wealth bill, that is unconstitutional and pointing towards our own people, marginalizing them, and is trying to keep them in poverty because those bills are made for the government to come in and check on your wealth. And if you cannot explain where you get it from, they will take it away from you. No, these same laws that they are making that falls in line with the FIU as money laundering. How much money is the government of Belize getting from the United States to give foreign nationals as Honduranians and people from the South to come here and granted amnesty? How much money is the government of Belize getting? Which to me is a form of money laundering. You are taking money to host these people and you are pushing out the regular Belizean, the black, letting us become minority in our own country.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why the government is unable to create jobs. No, there's ways to get around this because as anyone can see at home and abroad, we are having a gross financial problem when we have the head of state in a prime minister running the finance. The first thing that we should pass within our constitution is to input laws to take away the finance from the prime minister and create a separate entity to run the finance of this country. As I said before, if we look at the Holy Redeemer Credit Union, the Holy Redeemer Credit Union is being run 100% than our government running the finance of the Belizean people.
True on that.
So I believe we should take away the finance from the head of the state and create new entities so that we can have bona fide proof of where our monies are going. Secondly, using our resources to create jobs. The government, past and present, have not invested in factories, and we are still having these issues. We have a quantity of rosewood in our forests that foreign investors and foreign entity is longing for. Why can't we create factories that do the same thing they do? We have young men in our prison right now that does carving with terracotta wood. You know, we can do the same thing. So there's a lot of things that is there that we can do to create jobs in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And I will leave it at that, Mr. Chairman.
So true on that. So true on that, Gregory. You know, you couldn't have said it better. But before I pass it to Leonard, listen, back to the viewer that asked that question, right? You know, when you have a government that it's okay for them, for Santander to come in this country, right, and bring their labor force, bring their employees along with them, but they use it and they say, no, these employees they bring, there is a most, and they say technical employees and a hogwash. You know the amount of employees, people that Santander bring from Guatemala to work in the cane in the sugar industry, when we have Belizeans who could do the same, right? Who could do these jobs. But what they do, they hire Belizeans, but just a fraction. So when you have a government allowing this to happen, what do you expect? When you have a government that will allow the Chinese to come in and have these big, huge grocery stores and bring their labor force. They bring their Chinese partners with them to work in these stores. And it's not one store. You put all these stores together that's Chinese store that's in this country, and put all the employees from these stores, man, it's a hell of a lot of labor force that's been taken away. That's jobs taken away from the Belizean people, man.
Mhm.
When you have a government that allows that, right? Come on. And as for, the single mothers out there that she talks about, so very true. Because the justice system is not helping these single mothers. The government are not helping these single mothers. So they have to find a way to survive. They got to find a way to feed their kids so that they don't go to bed hungry. Right? So blame it on the government that allow these things to happen. When the court system says that the father should pay so much child support per week, they're not paying. Who follow these things up? Who follows it up? Who follows that the children are these single mothers are taken care of? The system does not, right? Especially the court system. Shame on the court system in this country, because I know there are fathers out there that can well provide for their kids, but for whatever reason they don't, and the system do not pressure these fathers. They let them slide because why? They know somebody, they know a minister, they know the judge, they know the magistrate, they know the policeman who going to carry that summons to them. Huh? Or they pay them off. And do they follow it up? No, they don't. And in the meantime, those kids are suffering. Huh? Man, I could go on. This is, this is so not right. Right? It's a crime for a government to do this kind of act to its people. Right? It's a crime. Go ahead, Leonard.
Mr. Wade, let me say this to you and the public at home and abroad. What you just said is a double whammy. Because these single mothers is falling through the cracks and in more than one way. Some will take their kid's father to the court, and yes, they might not be paying. But what happened to the ones that are dying? Because the government is not playing their role, which is to protect its territory, to get with private sector and create jobs, and to bring peace and harmony along with law in the community. So these single mothers are facing much more than anyone can think about. There are two things they're up against that government cannot seem to solve, because they're coming up with all kind of phony baloney excuse. Here, I just listened to the Minister of State, not the Minister of State, the Minister of Police, Mr. Musa, talking about they now need to regulate marijuana to curb crime. So they are on a fishing expedition. They know that they will not win in a referendum to legalize marijuana. So now they are spilling the deal. They have a supermajority that gives them the right to make legislation and that. So that's the direction I believe they want to go, which is the same as trying to legalize it, if you're listening to them.
So true on that.
So you have to look at these things,
And to top it off, Greg, let me, Greg, Leonard, quickly, and to top it off, let me tap that. It's bothering me.
Go ahead.
And to top it off for these single mothers, guys, you know, the deadbeat fathers out there, you know, they are the same one that one they're not taking care of their kids, they're not doing what they're supposed to do for their family, but they're the same one that will come and murder these single women, maim them, harm them, beat them up, right? We all kind of heinous act these deadbeat fathers come and do to these mothers, and they get away with it, right? Like again, you said the government is not playing their role, right? So, yeah, you have it, right? Go ahead.
Mr. Weird, Mr. Weird,
Go ahead, Greg.
in all honesty, have you looked at the wildlife in Africa? Have you seen a pack of wolves or a pack of wild dog or hyenas?
I sure do. I sure do. Yes,
When they get hungry, what do? They will attack any size animal that is around.
exactly.
Again, government is not playing its role. When you have a father that does not have a criminal record, that cannot supply to his kids because he does not have a job, and you send him to prison, you are criminalizing him. So in the future, he will be unable to get a job.
Mhm.
And this is what is happening. It's a system that is designed
System.
and it is recycling itself over and
That's on point.
over and over.
Well said there, my brother.
It's
Well
not,
said.
they cannot solve the problem. Solving the problem when you take these young men and criminalize them. You have young men that is afraid to come on the street. When they see the police, they are running only to get caught up and be hit with a resisting arrest, not having any kind of conviction because they don't want to have no kind of presence with the police. So it's not solving they are not solving the issue, they are creating the issue.
Exactly.
You have to look at all this, you know.
Sad, man.
And again,
Sad reality.
as I said before, it will keep happening because we are living in a designer system that is recycling itself. It is designed to keep the black minorities in poverty. Period.
So true on that.
You
So true
look
on that.
around and you see who the government of Belize is catering to. Now you have a country like Belize where you already have inflation and economical problem. But yet, I know for sure, I don't even have to use my belief. You are willing to take in 160,000 immigrants, and you already have Belizean that are going to bed hungry, can't find a job, that is living monthly by a check every month, that has to keep going to the bank to borrow or to the quick stop or to a pawn shop every single month. How can they survive? Government has found a way to keep the people in poverty. Because if you have been paying your citizen bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, they would know how to run their cash. And they would not be borrowing as they're doing to survive. But government will not do that. You know why? Because anybody who has the money buying power that can regulate their cash has the power to vote out any government that is not catering to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
this is what is happening, you
So
know?
true on that, my brother. So true on that.
And I will leave it at that.
Go ahead,
Uh,
Leonard. Go ahead.
okay. We're down to 6. We're down to 6 or 7 minutes now. So
Well,
I'm going
okay,
to take
go.
2 minutes and close, and then let you gentlemen use whatever
Okay.
time you need to finish up to close. No, I won't be long. We have commented on this type of situation before about poverty alleviation. People who listen to this program will hear me say in the past, on more than one occasion, about the government needing to find some extra money to put into the poverty alleviation program, just like how they go find extra money, even if they have to get one extra appropriation to do the programs that they wish to do. It is my hope and expectation that the government will wish to do better in its poverty alleviation endeavor, and therefore, wherever they're going to find the money from, go find it as quick as possible, because the quicker they can find it, it's still too late for a lot of people that are currently hungry and can't survive the situation what they deal with. So I would say make haste, find that money, shake that money through at the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Prime Minister. And like I asked you before, please, if you can't find something in the present budget, go and ask for an additional appropriation. Come up with the money, and within days, not months or weeks or years, until maybe you wait for the next election to try to do it. We'll do it today. Just like when you could go to the house and read someone who last them one want to put into existence where when you go so in the first place. When you go to the house and read it in a 1 day time, 3 readings, make it a law, and proceed to put that thing on the book. Go to the house, make the request for the additional funds that you think you might need if you can't find it out at the present budget. Within 1 day time, read out 3 readings to get it done. And by the second day after you finish read it, go and repurpose some of the money we're having at the budget for poverty alleviation. It can be done. You have the powers to do so. You have a super majority. You can get that done. I'm not asking the government and the Prime Minister and the Cabinet to do anything that is outside of their purview or is so difficult for them to do. If they really have a heart and they have a mind, they can do it. Just get it done. That's my closing for tonight.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you very much, my brother. And I hope that the public, take away something. Go ahead with your closing there, Gregory.
I would like to say I would wish the government would play its role and try to find a solution to bring about peace and law in the community. Just recently, they went to the House for a bill, to appropriation bill. They say to curb crime with the narcos in the north. No, I find this very disturbing,
Wow.
because when you have a government that is saying one thing and not solving the issue, but instead keep violating the constitutional right of these young men. Every time there is an issue, you want to have a SOE, or you want to pick these young men up and lock them up in the name of being a gang member. How much time will you do that? Which is an unconstitutional move. 2 times, 3 times, being a member of a gang that is not solving the problem, but you keep violating their rights. I listened to the commissioner of the police said this, and I look at him and I can only laugh because he's saying he don't believe any gang member can be reformed. Now, if he believes that, I would like him to sit down and have a talk with the Minister of Education who believe that the terrorists they brought in is reformed. Because
Greg,
I would like to ask them.
Greg, quickly.
Yes.
The police commissioner is saying that the gang members they cannot be reformed. He is a member of a gang, and that's why I kept on saying in the past he needs to reform his gang. He cannot have those idiots going out there and brutalizing people, and then they come up and make excuses for them. He is a member of a gang, and he's defending his gang. Okay. So when you throw words, you got to pay attention and be careful that you have those same words come back to the county.
But again, as I said before, it's double standards.
Craziness.
Again, it's discrimination against these young men. Because that is what he's saying. He don't believe them at all when they say they're reformed. So I would want him to sit down with the Minister of Education who believes the terrorists they brought in is reformed.
They're double talking.
Since he's an expert on that. Because in reality, I would like to ask them, who in our government is checking on this terrorist to make sure he is not active, as they are doing to our Belizean brothers and these Belizean young men? Stop using double standards, because this is what is causing crime. You are preventing these young men from getting jobs. Nobody wants to hire them because of what is happening to them. And you have other young men who are graduated, can't get a job because they have to be running away from your gang, the police.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever they see you, they're afraid they might get beat down or something drastic might happen to them, as the young lady who got punched in her mouth for absolutely no charge at all, to only to come up with a resisting arrest. A resisting arrest when she does not have a previous crime, which is a secondary charge. It is ludicrous and crazy. They need to find other ways to solve the issue and the problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Guys, again, I want to thank you guys for, your contribution, or our contribution, together, to the public and to nation, right? We are here to serve our people, inform them, open their eyes, let them see what's going on, and I want to thank you guys, for have the energy, the will to do it, because, seems that we are the only one that is beating this horse this kind of way. We are the only one doing it, right? And I want to thank you. And on that note, to our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad, especially the people at home, man, we are touch on poverty for you because, hey, we poverty is at all-time high in this country, and it's a never-ending cycle, right? So we're calling on the government, like we said in our presentation, to do better, man, right? And stop the, saying that you want to educate the people on the Constitution about their constitutional rights when you are the one that are violating the rights of the people, right? Come on, wake up. My people, I beg you, see what these people are doing to us, right? And we talk about the justice system. The justice system need to do better, right? It's justice across the board, not only for certain people in this country, right? Justice should be across the board, right? We talk about our single parents, we talk about our children, what the government need to do to protect the kids, to protect single mothers. They need to do a better job, right? In a whole, they're doing a very poor job in addressing the needs of the people and country. Right? They're doing a terrible job on that. You need to Mr. Government. Go ahead, Leonard.
I was just saying that we have jumped beyond the time just now, and
okay, I'll
like
close now.
Yes, sir. We'd like to extend an invitation for people to check us out on Friday, this coming Friday, because just as I saw tonight, we were on good behavior and we were trying to applaud people for the good that they're doing. We still can't let up and pretend that some of the crazy things that are going on should not be given attention to. So Friday, we'll be talking about some of these same things within a constitutional and legal structure.
Okay.
So please bear with us. And I don't know if
okay.
you guys want to
So
hold on for a couple of minutes after the program, but
so on that note,
yes, we
on
will.
that note, on that note, I want to say, I hope that the nation, and the poor and less fortunate in this country adhere to the things that we are talking about or had talked about. On that note, I want to say good night and thanks to our
Mr.
viewers.
Chairman.
May God bless
Mr.
you.
Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, go ahead, Gregory.
Mr. Chairman, before we close, I think I want to mention when we look at these foreign liars that are coming in that is getting 70,000 and above. And I've mentioned before that the government can do better by our police department, by our local judges and lawyers or councils. We would get better production, do right by our teachers who take the money from their pocket to buy books for these school kids, to help them with, lunch, the 10% that they had taken away that could have brought this economy back. But we have a major issue that I believe we need to speak about. Since we learn and we know now about the definitive agreement, the question should be, how much foreign investors are bringing in stuff duty free? Why the government refuses to do a tax code? Why does the government refuses to revise the tax code so everybody can pay their fair share? Because believe me, Mr. Chairman,
we could make that a part of Friday's program, though.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, we will.
Because believe me, when they talk about certain item that they are trying to curb the prices, anybody in the world knows that a country, a state is run on taxes. And the higher the products go, the more taxes the government will collect. So it is a touchy subject, but it's a real one. Because anybody who has been to the market just this week, a pound of sweet pepper is $5. That's a whole hour of your salary right there. Imagine.
Amen. That.
But at any rate, I would like to say good night to the people at home and abroad.
Good night, guys.